Alright guys, Hatchcom again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The CDL is officially back in business. You know what that means. Drama everywhere as the CDL is back in session. OpTic takes us though up against the Boston Breach again. The last two times Boston have played OpTic now in the CDL, the result has been the same, but OpTic boys respond to it. They don't think it's a massive deal, especially when you look back at last season. They also lost the first game of last year. We know how that ended, but plenty of drama elsewhere as well. Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. As always, lots to get into here on the first day of the league. Los Angeles Thieves, they finally confirmed it, what their jersey's going to look like. Here we go. Of course, you've got the announcement and all this for the team intro. And fair play, right? Some of the acting wasn't as bad as I thought that it might be. This, of course, is the Los Angeles Thieves jersey, hoodie, combination type thing they're rocking with for the upcoming season, right? So that's the pro kit. I think it goes kind of hard, to be fair. They were not playing today. The teams that were playing today, Los Angeles Gorillas and the Minnesota Rokkrr to kick things off. I'm still, unfortunately, they are the Gorillas. Los Angeles Gorillas mate. I mean, it's so bad. It is hilarious to read on the broadcast, I'm not going to lie. And we start with the following. Vault, Vault, Vault. Map 1, 2, and 3. An absolute shambles, but it is, you know, one of the best maps. And we are going to see lots of this, to be fair. We're going to see lots of Vault this year. Now, to be fair, as the day went on, it's not like everything was Vault all of the time. Some teams maybe don't like it as much. But, yeah, to start the year off with a back-to-back-to-backer definitely shows that the map set isn't in the best spot. That's got to be said. I'll just share this now because, well, I might forget to later. OpTic, over the last 3 years, have lost the season opener every single time. And on basically all occasions, they have had at least a decent year. Let's not forget Cold War was very much so a year to forget. The last time they won an opener was in Cold War 2021. That's when T2P, Scump and Formal, was still on OpTic, and every time that Scump and Formal played an opening tournament together, an opening season match, they won it. They were 6-0 together, according to Brian Stats in those metrics. But since, you know, the departure of that, Vanguard, they lost. They won an event that year. Modern Warfare 2, they lost. They came close to winning an event that year. Of course, a couple of seconds that season. Still a bit of a disastrous season, though, those 2 years on some respects. And then, of course, the most recent season was an excellent one for OpTic, including winning the World Championship. They lost the first game last year to the Subliners as well. So, lots to talk about today, but this is nonetheless interesting. This was the power rankings that the coaches put together based on their opinions so far. And, well, there were some teams in the D tier, some teams in the S tier, as we'll discuss in a second. No Hacienda, of course, in the map pool yet. We did a little pre-show for you guys today on the Breaking Point channel. We'll try and do more stuff like this in the future as well for the season. But, yeah, obviously the map set right now with no Hacienda isn't exactly optimal. And immediately, as soon as the games were getting underway, it's a draw. Why am I not surprised? Right, I mean, here we go again. The season's back. We saw what happened at the K-Sun tournament, right? All the problems there with the delays and all these things that were going down. And then the game officially gets underway. So Gorillas Mate versus Rokkrr. Interesting series. Rokkrr is a team, as I said, I thought they might be good at the start of the season, but, you know, there's no real leadership there. There's obviously some talent. And, well, we know that this basically subliners-esque roster has its pros, but it certainly has its cons. Now, also, of course, we've got to talk about some of the viewership stuff here, right? Because Gotaga today was absolutely killing it. I think he was asking his chat here, like, how many does Scump have at this point? And Scump had about 40k, 37k. Gotaga was sitting at 64,000. Now, of course, he's there to watch his own team. But I think for those that underestimated the power of the French audience and the French scene and Gotaga's community, saw some of the answers to that today and how good this is going to be for COD. Like, if we do continue to move away from a franchising model, which is kind of what we are doing right now, we will start to see more of this type of stuff. And I just thought it was great for the scene today, right? And I mean, you can compare these numbers for Gotaga to when Scump is watching OpTic. Like, those are kind of the comparisons we're talking about here, which is mega to think about. You know, first game of the season, but it's Gentle Mates versus Minnesota Rokkrr, and it's getting 170,000 viewers across Scump, the main broadcaster, and Gotaga. Like, that's pretty mega for the scene, and it's great to see, to be honest, that we're getting some influx of new fans in this way, even if it's only on YouTube and not on Twitch, as it might be good if it was. However, not all sunshine and rainbows here for the CDL today. The scoreboard is broken in an unimaginably bad way, really. It's so bad, you have no idea what's going on. And unfortunately for the stats boys that are trying to keep hold of things, it's literally impossible to do anything with some of these numbers right now. and we'll explain why in a second. As Octane says though, they have got some new desk segments, a fair play to them. They've got some like analytical stuff they're working with as well, such as this like drawing conclusions thing they had going on, and we'll talk about this series here for you guys in a few minutes time. But before we get to that, of course, we've got to discuss Gentlemates versus Minnesota Rokkrr. 68k Gotaga had pretty much before the series had even begun, and obviously Scump stream was just getting underway at that point as well. Now, the series ends not in their favour. This was a surprise, certainly after watching Game 1, where, well, at least watching the first half of Game 1, where it looked like Gentlemates were in a pretty good spot. Then they threw it away. But then it looked like Rokkrr were going to throw it away, and it looked like a nice little comeback here was being made on the Vault, the first CDL map of the season. Lynz gets this one, but unfortunately for them, they let Estriel, for some reason, they allow Estriel to sneak in down low. He gets 2 kills, and maybe he just gets 1, but whatever, it was enough to stop the clock basically and mean that Rokkrr could win this map. So winnable for the Gorillas in hindsight. Then it goes all the way to a map 5. They split the maps down. Sky's made some nice plays, including this 1 versus 2, but around 11, game 5, first match of the season, it is, I will say, a good sign of things to come. I think my takeaway from this series was the game is fun to watch, I'd say. The maps aren't great, things aren't perfect by any means, but the game is fundamentally pretty fun to watch. It's got its problems. Codcaster isn't great. I don't like the fact that there's no like hit markers. That annoys me because there's always a bit of latency involved here anyway. But look, Skies gets this nice little 1 versus 2. It wasn't, however, enough, and Minnesota Rokkrr take the win. Sky says, just got to close these maps out. Of course, it's early days, but it is nonetheless important days in the context of the season when, you know, World Championship qualification is on the line at the end of the year. So, yeah, these were the numbers. Kind of skewed by the fact that they slammed them bad on Skyline, but every other map, of course, went in the favour of the Minnesota Rokkrr when it mattered. Lynz definitely played well in this series. I think, again, that's the concern for the Gentlemates fans. It's like, wow, yeah, Lynz made a mistake round 1, in map 1, to be fair, but after that he did turn up and kind of fry. And that is the concern, because people are going to look at Lynz and think, well, obviously a lot of the French fans, he's a French player, he's playing well, kind of like how he did at the start of the season last year on the Minnesota Rokkrr. Of course, they've now got rid of him and took him over to Gorilla's mate, or whatever the hell that's going to be called. And he's still playing well, it seems. But, you know, Skies, lots of kills, very high KD at 1.4. Was the impact there? I mean, at times it was, at times maybe not so much. I mean, you don't usually see that kind of engagement numbers from Skies. We saw it today, and it results in a loss. So, obviously, there's going to be some degree of question on that. But the OpTic boys, of course, due to play a game today as well, scheduled to play up against the Boston Breach, and expected to take the victory. Kenny and Dashy were talking about how things were this time last year at the start of the day. It is OpTic on their kind of whiteboards by their setups, and it says back-to-back season on the side. Here's a whole Kenny thing. This is Shotzzy's station, I guess, on the left-hand side here. He's even got a mention of Zio, which I thought was quite nice with, of course, that's the trio name of Hook, Illy, and Shotzzy, who are no longer a trio. But, yeah, back-to-back season. That's what OpTic are looking for this year, and it's still on the cards. But, of course, we know that historically, teams that win champs don't tend to do so well following winning the World Championship. Now, thankfully for me, the mapper mode combo here wasn't entirely terrible. It was, you know, Skyline, Hardpoint, Rewind, Search, Vault Control. So only 1 Vault. The problem was we then got back-to-back red cards. And seemingly not exactly OpTic's favourite thing. So Shotzzy was locked in. He was absolutely frying at Game 1 Skyline. Like, Shotzzy put them in a blender here. And this looked like it was going to be a sign of things to come for OpTic. We know that Shotzzy is, you know, absolutely going to be an MVP candidate, I would say, of the season. The guy was basically unkillable at this point on Skyline, and they went to a listening, and Shotzzy was still frying. Ends up 38 and 18, dominates the game, 10 in a row game 1. But the issue is for OpTic, and it has been a little bit before as well, online search and destroy, especially in the early part of a season. Look, it must be said, Kenny has brought an awful lot to OpTic last year, and without Kenny, I don't think they win champs. I don't think they win maybe any events last year. I think Kenny was crucial to them revitalizing their culture, I would say, OpTic on some level. Kenny's biggest weakness is his search and destroy, and especially his online search and destroy. It has been a problem, and it will probably continue to be a problem. It was the case last year as well. He will, and the team will, eventually figure it out. But the problem, of course, is that in series like this is where, you know, your FaZes will always win this series, because they'll always win a search and destroy. That's usually at least how it goes. So Boston tied up, and, you know, they win the 6-2, and this is why, as well, those scrim rankings, the coaches polls, can't be taken that seriously just because they're pretty much just based on hardpoint and maybe a bit of control. Doesn't really consider the full picture here. So Boston, it seems, are pretty damn good in that mode. And this is, you know, a concerning scoreboard for OpTic, but not a massively surprising scoreboard for OpTic in that Game 2 search and destroy. OpTic, though, they bounce back with the Game 3, and you think, okay, they're going to drop the Game 2, but they're going to win it anyway. But then, unfortunately, of course, for OpTic, they went to red card. Clearly not their favourite map. They lose the hard point, and they go down as well in the search and destroy. So, yeah, OpTic have lost their opening game the last couple of years. Of course, they lost it last year as well, but it was to the Subliners in a Game 5 round 11. To be honest, a very similar story here, but of course against a team that's on paper far weaker. However, Boston did not play like a team today that was 11th in the CDL standings. OpTic had their moments, they didn't play great. Again, it's, you know, classic OpTic problems in search and destroy, over challing, dying one by one, and look, they dealt with that last year too. They still won champs. So I don't think OpTic fans are going to be too annoyed about this, but again, it is Boston, a team that they were getting clowned on bad last year. They're not expected to be that good this year. And yet they get the win, of course, you know, day one against OpTic Texas. So it's not exactly ideal. I'm not exactly sure what Snoopy's celebration was either, but I do want to give some praise to the Boston boys, right? Because, look, Purge doesn't have the best gunny in the world, but he is a competent, you know, he does bring intangibles. Whether there's enough intangibles, if I'm Boston, just hypothetically, and I can sign Hook, you know, I'm thinking about it. But Snoopy played very well. The Wake Cammy duo looks particularly promising, I'd say. I mean, Cammy was very, very crisp and impressive today, I thought. Maybe it's just a tryout game thing. I don't know. But, like, Cammy was dominant. We've been talking about Cold War Cammy for years, and I know it's literally one series. But he hasn't really made that happen over the last couple of titles. We're now back on an actual tryout game. Maybe there's something in that. Of course, Awakening was like, F out of here to the OpTic boys. A bit of trash talk going down. This is why, by the way, the kill feed and basically the whole Codcaster is ruins. This kill is Cammy killing Shotzzy. Basically the left-hand side kill feed says Purge killed Kenny, which is just like so bad you can't even use it effectively. But yeah, this was the reaction from the Boston boys immediately after the victory. They bring the energy, of course, and yeah, nice to see some different teams taking some spotlights at the start of the season. And of course, the last two wins that Boston got were against OpTic. So I don't know if there's anything in that. As I say, it's very early days. Know that there's some OpTic fans already, I want to say, overreacting. Like, I think if the reaction to this is going to be the team's terrible, we got to blow it up, that is an overreaction as far as I'm concerned. It is literally day one, and red card will likely be gone for the map pool very soon in favour of Hacienda. But to be fair, watching OpTic today, it was a lot of the same old things that they do, but as I say, they did those same old things last year and they still won the World Championship. Kenny says they played bad. Pred says, look, got good reps in for search and destroy. That's what really matters at the end of the day. But this was the scoreboard, right? Dashy in the green, Pred in the green, Shotzzy big time in the green, massive impact as always. But yeah, Kenny 78 and 104.75. Not a good series from him. Obviously, the search and destroy was a crucial factor as well. Purge didn't have the greatest numbers, but Cameo certainly did. Over 100 from him, pretty much matching Dashy exactly in his performances today. And the final series I'm going to talk about this evening was Ravens versus the Falcons, and this was more interesting in many respects than I maybe expected to be. Falcons put up a serious fight. They brought the energy to this series. They won the Game 2 search and destroy very emphatically, which I was super impressed with. As expected, their control wasn't great, but I think, you know, the protocol they very much could have won on the Game 4, and I think that's a map that they will come away from and say, look, we could have literally won this series. Now, Ravens are not playing good COD apparently in scrims, but we're yet to really find out what that looks like. Great series from both Gwyn and Slasher, and great series from Khalid as well on the other side. So, early days for all of these rosters, but I'm excited that Falcons, like, I thought maybe Falcons would come in here and get slammed just because they've been quite a long way behind. But no, they've put up a serious fight today, and yeah, they've gone down and have no CDL points, but there's a long road ahead for this team. So, very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. We'll discuss FaZe Toronto tomorrow morning. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.